For those that are on Zoom, we're just waiting for a quorum here, so please bear with us. Thanks. I have to unmute myself for Zoom. Good evening. It is 6:12 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Smithfield Township Board of Supervisors. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jacob, because we have that going, can you please make sure that you project your voice so everyone can hear me? Can you
Sure.
guys hear me at this level? Yes. This is okay. Okay, great.
Okay, well, I'll be louder now. No worries. Thank you all for joining us. Members present include myself, Chairman Jacob Pride, Vice Chair Robert Levenheim, our Township Manager Julia Heilich is here, as well as our engineer John Tressler and our solicitor Ron Karasak. Our first announcement is that our December 28th regular meeting has been rescheduled for December 21st to allow for better participation and accommodate for holiday schedules. Next order of business is the minutes of the November 23rd regular meeting. The board has had the chance to review those. Do I hear a motion that we approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Levenheim, second by myself. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So tonight we have some discussion on the public hearing for the Orchard BJK Company and Scott petition to rezone R1 parcels to the Economic Development Zone. Solicitor Karasak, should I turn it over to yourself to explain, or
Yes,
should I?
Let's do that, and we'll get into some information, and then Attorney Maturgia is here on behalf of the applicant, who would like to make a quick request, but a request. So before we do that, let me introduce the evidence, the board exhibits. Board 1. Tell me when we're ready to go. Board 1 are the newspaper advertisements for the hearing, which they were placed in once a week for 2 successive weeks on November 21st and again on November 28th. Board exhibit number 2 is the newspaper advertisement that is placed under my name as opposed to the other advertisements, which are placed under the township name, which has to be placed in the newspaper once. And that was advertised on 11/28/2022. And board exhibit number 3 is the notice of the hearing, along with the affidavit of posting by the township zoning officer indicating that the property was posted on December 2, 2022, which meets the requirements of the ordinance. So I did share these documents with Attorney Maturgia before the meeting began, and I'm going to ask him if he has any objections to them. No objections. All right, thank you. And I'm going to ask that those documents be made part of the record with respect to this hearing. Now, again, this is a hearing on a request for a legislative change to the zoning map as it presently exists to add some additional parcels to the economic development district. And that request has been made on behalf of Attorney Maturgia's clients. So let me turn the matter over to him, since I believe he has a statement and or request to make with respect to the hearing this evening.
Thank you. I'm not sure where to stand. Am I good here?
Sure.
Just talk
As
loud
long as
enough so
everyone
they
can hear you.
Very well. Good evening. I'm Ralph Maturgia. I represent the petitioners in this request, a petition for an amendment of the zoning ordinance. As you may be aware, Mr. Karasak provided me with correspondence to the Monroe County Planning Commission on Tuesday of this week, content of which indicated that the Planning Commission, Monroe County Planning Commission, did not receive the amended petition, which is the subject of hearing, as we are now open until the 30th of November. Under the provisions of the municipality planning code, the county is to be given 30 days advance notice. And so consequently, to avoid any procedural defect, should you choose to enact this amendment in honor of this request, I am requesting on behalf of the petitioners that this matter be adjourned, that the hearing be adjourned until after the passing of the 30 days, which will put us after January 1. I understand your first public meeting, business meeting in January is Wednesday, January 11th.
Correct.
I would request that you consider adjourning this hearing until the 11th of January, so this matter can be taken up and if there be no procedural defect.
So both the supervisors and the audience are clear, again, under the law, the legislative zoning changes have to be reviewed by both the county planning commission and the township planning commission. The township planning commission did review this last week. However, the county planning commission has not had its 30 days in which to review the matter. And consequently, the concern is that even though they have conducted a review, and an argument could be made that perhaps that 30 days was waived because they've conducted a review. If I was the applicant's attorney, I'd also say, I don't want to take that chance. Just push it out far enough beyond the 30 days so that we can then make sure that procedural issue has been addressed. So that is what he is requesting. There is no time limit on this request because it's a legislative change. So you can push this out easily to January 11th of 2023. All I ask is if you are willing to do that, that you give us a date and time certain so we don't have to re-advertise.
Well, to be clear, when you do this, it's not necessarily just in the event that the request would be granted, correct? It's also, I think the same argument could be made if you were to.
If you deny the request, sure, the applicant could say, you didn't give the planning commission enough time and we're going to now challenge it based upon the fact that they weren't given enough time. So it applies either way.
Okay.
But as for the applicant's position, if I was the attorney for the applicant, I would say, I don't want to take a chance. If you pass this, someone may be able to challenge it because they weren't given enough time.
We close the public hearing before we set a new date.
No, do not close the public hearing. You're just going to adjourn it. You're not going to close it. You're going to adjourn it to, again, a date certain and time. So we don't have to re-advertise. The theory being of not having to re-advertise. If anyone wanted to know what was happening tonight, they'd be here either live or on Zoom. So assuming you would want to do that, I don't see any legal harm in it because again, there is no time limit to have a hearing in this matter as you would with a special exception use or a conditional use or curative amendment, etc. So
Sure.
I'll make
that's
a
what
motion if the chair will entertain it.
Well, hold on, but before I entertain a motion, I want to be clear, even though we're going to close the on the record portion of this so our stenographer can go elsewhere, we're going to be able to hear your comment. It's just you're not going to hear the presentation tonight from the folks that would like to change the zoning. And we are going to, rehear this on January 11th. And you're welcome to make comment on that too. Also on the record at that point, I just want everyone to know that the opportunity exists even without that.
And it may well be, and I'm not speaking for the audience, obviously they can speak for themselves, and I mean that sincerely, but they may say, until we hear the proposal in total, we really don't want to comment because
Sure.
we may be commenting about something that is not relevant. So we'll just save our comments to January 11, assuming that's going to be the date. That's perfectly fine too. and
Or
it's
you
on
can
the
make
record.
comments now and on January.
And well, you can do that too. You can do
That's-
some today.
That's what I was saying. So everyone understood that we want to be as open as possible as we hear this. So with that, Robert, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn this public hearing until January 11th, 2023,
At
6 p.m.
January 11th, right?
Correct.
January
6.
11th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
It's gonna be the second Wednesday
Right.
in this month.
And I promise I'll be on time for that.
Yeah, so I'll second Mr. Levenheim's motion. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now, if you want to take comment, you're certainly free
Sure.
to, whether you want to put those on the record or whether you want
I'm
to
gonna
have
let,
Ms. Kenderdine go to other things
Yeah,
that she has.
I'm gonna let her
You
go
can
to
do that
her
too.
next
It's up to
hearing.
you. But we're not closing the record.
Correct.
We're simply adjourning the hearing until the 11th of January.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. That's done. Thank you very much. Okay.
Approximately 5 minutes late.
Yeah, if anyone has any comment they'd like to make now, just make sure you state your name and where you live in the township, so Julia can record that for the minutes, if you'd like. If not, we will continue on to the next portion of our meeting. And I appreciate you all coming.
Thank you. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Okay.
Donna, will I see you before the holiday or not? If not, happy holiday, safe holiday.
Thank you.
You and the big guy and everyone, you make sure that
The
you're.
big guy, does that mean Santa or Sam?
From what I hear, he is Santa.
Exactly, I was just in. I thought Tim was Santa, so he's just wearing two hats, that's.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care and be safe on your way up there.
The world up there.
So next would be plans. Oh, go ahead. Right, the township plan, both commissions made recommendations. The only thing is the county planning commission and theirs said, oh, we did not get this 30 days ahead of time, which was some procedural oversight that we haven't run into with that before, but
They did a review, so.
Correct.
An argument could be made, the 30 days really doesn't matter because you've done a review, but knowing how this goofy system works. No.
no, they're done.
They're done.
No, they're done, and they had no recommendation. There was a motion to recommend denial, and 2 people voted for it and 2 voted against it. And there was also a motion to recommend, against it, and that was also 2-2. So there was. What's that? Oh, sorry, but yeah, it's certainly complicated, but we're gonna hear it out on the 11th. We don't have any plans to act on this evening. Is there anything to note for the solicitor's report or engineer's report?
You have on the agenda, the consent agenda, the Board of Auditors settlement agreement, which would be part of my report, and also the approval of the amendment to the Slater Holdings Land Development Improvements Agreement. So those would be the 2 items to which I would comment if in fact we need to.
Okay.
Because right now, if they're on the consent agenda, there's no reason to
Yeah.
comment unless someone wants to move them from the consent agenda to the regular agenda. So other than that, I have nothing else to report because you've already covered it.
Okay. Thank you. Anything to note, John?
No, I'm not.
No? Okay. Going into new business, we have our consent agenda, which we just discussed. Do I hear a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Mr. Levenheim, second by myself.
Let me talk about one item on that, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
As to the settlement agreement.
Yes.
For the auditors.
Correct.
That doesn't have a number now, that has
Correct.
the formula. I checked with both our township manager and our township business manager that formula equates to that $25.32
Correct.
amount.
Yep.
So as far as I'm concerned, as long as they're okay with that formula, it's
Yeah.
okay with me.
We're cool with the formula. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is a discussion on the 1% for nature grant application, which is something we've talked about at recent meetings. Julia provided to us. This is a group that, is local. Some of you might know it. 1% of your receipts at certain local businesses will be go to that organization, which provides funding for protection of the environment, recreation, things of that nature in our area. We've actually got one of those grants before, which provided the new recycling, or the bear-proof recycling and trash can enclosures in Mount Nebo and River's Edge Bike Park. So it's something that we've been successful with before. They're fairly small grants, but they're really impactful in keeping our parks clean. So we've been considering.
Sure, is that this one?
Yeah.
Pack grant?
Yep.
That's in the packet. Okay, thank you.
Yep. So we're considering making a second application for next year's round. In the past, we had talked about
Jacob, you need to raise your voice again.
sorry. I just got over the flu, and we of course have that, which is great because it keeps, if you actually tap it once in the center, it should go to like automatic. I think we had it on the, yeah.
Look at that magic that you have.
Yeah, it's great. It's an air purifier. So for COVID and anything else, we got this last year. It's terrific. Does 600 square feet. It was like only $200 or something like that. Anyhow, Julia, the two suggestions that we talked about before for this potential application were
The first one being looking at hiring goats or some sort of other mitigation process to cut down on the knotweed that we have found in Menacing Park.
like,
The second option that we were looking at pursuing was cutting down dying or diseased ash trees, either in Mount Nebo Park or Menacing Park, due to the infestation of the emerald ash borer. We reached out to the new director for One for Nature, and he said that it's possible that either of those could go through. So really at this point, I just need a decision from the board. I cannot remember his name, but
So it's not Samantha.
It's not Samantha
Oh.
anymore. She just retired.
oh, all right.
But the gentleman's very, very nice. I've spoken with him. He said either of those are possible options. But at this point, I really just need an answer from the board, what you think we should apply for, so I can pursue an application.
Let me take the goats off the table. I've done quite a bit of goat research. Very interesting, but it doesn't seem like it's a permanent solution to this. Although I was looking forward to the goat's milk cheese. If you get it. The only solution that anyone has ever found is chemical solutions. And Strausser, I guess, Nature's Helpers had quite a bit of experience on this, but you have to apply chemicals for at least 2 years or more to try to get rid of it. We received a grant from Monroe County, I think mini grants several years ago to use some kind of chemical defoliant on this. We decided to return the grant because at that time there were some questions of Roundup and other similar chemicals causing cancer in park workers. I don't know whether that's been resolved or if there's another chemical.
Been some
but at this
settlements
point-
with Monsanto.
Hmm?
There's been settlement agreements with Monsanto.
So I don't know where that is,
Monsanto.
but I would say for this moment, we should just take it off the table.
Well, I'm cool if we try for the diseased ash trees. I think that would be great because we don't want them hurting anyone, and we've, we can make a dent.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would certainly help more.
Yeah, let's try for that. Let's see what you can find out. Moving on, I don't have anything to note for the Board of Supervisors report. Robert, do you have anything you wanted to note?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. Well, we have bills, $156,387.70, which includes our year-end contributions to the fire companies and EMS companies. So that amounts to about $85 $5,000 out of that. So the rest is our typical expenses. Do I hear a motion that we pay our bills?
I'll make a motion to approve the bills. Table.
Motion by Mr. Loveenheim. I will second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lastly, do we have any public comments this evening? Either in person or on Zoom? Mark? Mhm. Oh, no, that's okay. The Slater Holdings is for previously, oh, if you want.
Yeah, I can describe it. Back in June, Slater Holdings entered into what is the customary land development improvements agreement, where if you're going to build something, you have to enter into an agreement with the township and post security, etc. Since that was done, they have now reconsidered the project, and they're basically splitting up the project into two types, one called the base building project and the other called the expansion building project. And the base building project is dealing with 130,000 square foot building, and the expansion project is 260,000. So the agreement basically says, all right, if you want to do the base project but not the expansion project, then you have 2 years to do it. If you want to do both, you have 4 years. If you want to do one, you pay a little less money by way of security. And if you want to do two, you have to pay the full amount of security. And likewise, they have to make sure that that's all done. So that's what the amendment is. Why they may have made the change or wanted the change, that I can't answer. All I can tell you is that the applicant's attorney contacted the township and said they wanted to make sure that they had the option to do the smaller project and add the bigger project as time goes by, if it looks like it would work.
Right, yeah, to
Yes.
clarify, the square footage and everything is the same, it's just now 2 phases.
Right, instead of the 260 total, I think it was, now
Right.
they want to break it down, like I said, to that.
Correct, and they originally did want to, but now it's, I'm not sure
Yeah,
what the
130
actual
and
empirical
then
difference
and
is, but
another. Again, I'm not sure why, but
it's all in the same.
it's all in the agreement. It all indicates that they will be posting the appropriate security for whatever they require. They have posted the updated quantity and cost estimates.
Right.
And I checked with the other big guy to my left, Mr. Tressler, and he said that everything looks okay too. So as far as I'm concerned, the agreement, the amendment is fine.
Perfect. And then correct, that's Vigon.
The Vigon or Slater?
Well, it's the,
It's Slater, it was formerly known as Vigon, but now it's
yeah,
called Slater Holdings.
it's that project though, that approval
Yeah, it's that
from
project.
November 2019. It's, as far as I know, it's still the same. It's just Vigon is now owned by a different.
I think it's just built by spec. I don't know if they have a tenant yet. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It is.
so Vigon, okay.
Vigon just got bought out. Slater Holdings is like the real estate, the owner of the property, but it's still that project. That project hasn't changed. They would have to tell us. No, this is like the Steve Summers, his former company, the one that does like the chip flavors and like lip balm stuff, additives, flavors, scents, that stuff on Airport Road. So not at all. We haven't heard anything from Black Buffalo since. Correct. I drive past it every once in a while and it's not much. So, and we don't hear anything from anybody either. So we'll see if we ever do. I don't know. It's one of those.
I think they have until sometime in February, is it?
I believe they extended the time until February, mid-February
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, and then the cellular upgrade for the radar sign is that's the one that captures the speed and traffic data, but it needs to be configured wirelessly. So this is like a maintenance plan that allows that to happen easier. Anybody else? Okay. That said, do I hear a motion? We adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. You have to vote.
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned at 6:37. Thank you, everybody.